into this story. Somehow, some way, you are embedded into the actions of Abram, Sarai, and Hagar. How? You know of God. You have a relationship with God. And you define how that relationship is. Because somehow, some way, you have heard from God. I'll say that again. You have heard from God. God has revealed God's self and God's plan in your life so many times. He turns you a little each day. He calls you out a little each day. He shows you his love a little each day. You see, you are the clay and he is the potter. Now sometimes in being the clay, we feel like we are one wet mess on the wheel of life, right? You're just one formless glop of igloo, right? Formless. And the world keeps spinning, and your hands and your heart just keep going around and around and around. If you feel like this, or when you feel like this, you are feeling just like Abram felt. You know there is a God. You know you have a relationship with God. You know that you have the blessings from God. But yet what? Things still spin. Things are still confusing. Things can still hurt. Listen. God is designing you. And God is equipping you, as he did Abram, for the good things to come. We have the benefit of having this story in our souls. We have the benefit of having this story well versed in many of our memories. But if we were to stop this story and suddenly get a sudden case of amnesia, we would recognize that Abram's life, that Hagar's life, and that Sarai's life, at points and at places in their drama, their narrative, is a mess. It's a real mess. They hear the blessings of God, yet they take God's life, God's business, God's direction into their own hands. And they do what you have done. Gulp. You screwed up. You said something wrong. You did something wrong. You knew the plan was clear somewhere. Somehow you got it. God, you're blessing me. And yet somehow, some way, somewhere, some little slip-up, some little tiny thing suddenly becomes some bigger thing. And then it becomes a bigger thing. And then we get back to that wheel thing, and you feel like you're that mess going around on the wheel. You know that God's hand is somewhere in there helping you, yet the situation that's currently right in front of you, or in front of someone you know, seems pretty sad. But we have a God who is always present to us. And we can learn about our God through Abram. You know about Abram. He was blessed. He heard directly from God. Folks, that's a direct pipeline. The Lord spoke to Abram. There was no, which version of the Bible was this? Was it NIV or NLT? This was God saying to Abram, listen, buddy, you're blessed. Listen, buddy, I'm going to make sure that your road is smooth. Listen, guy, I'm going to protect you. Now, we hear that ourselves. But there's something that happens between your ears, that happened between Abram's ears, that happened between Sarai's ears, that happened between Hagar's ears. You kind of got things jumbled up. You kind of got things just a little bit funny inside. Because when you hear that you are blessed, you think that you get to pick your blessings. When you hear that you are blessed, you think somehow, some way, I don't know where it comes from, but you got it. You think that these blessings are those that you can call yourself, that you can name yourself. Here's the part that is tough for us to understand. We have our blessings. You have God's protection and God's rewards. But here's the catch. God God chooses the blessings. You don't. You've been on a place or in a path in your life where you said to yourself, if I get this, then I'm fulfilling God's plan. If I do this, if I get that, the selfish stuff, that's long ago, like the red bike and the puppy and the goldfish. You're past that. But if I get to this place, if I get this relationship, if I get this job, then God will be blessed. Who's calling the blessings? Who's seeing the blessing they want to see? You are. It's sort of like a blessing store. Okay, just imagine that for a second. There's a blessing store out there, and you have a budget, and your budget is good, because you're in church, it's communion, and it's worldwide communion, and you look good today, right? You look good today. Your souls are good, your souls are hungry, you're attentive. And so you think, okay, well, I've got a lot of money in my pockets when I go to the blessing store. That's fun, right? Think about it. Yeah, see, your smile is like, wait a second, wouldn't that be neat? I can go to the blessing store, and in aisle 2, I can pick out something. Aisle 2 is a good place to go in the blessing store, I heard. Or there's also aisle 4. You can pick out a blessing there that you want to do. Take back the blessing in 2 and go to 4, because that's the blessing you really want, right? Like, I can choose my blessing. This is the one I want. This is the one I want. And this one, yeah, when I get to this blessing, that's the one I really want. That's what Abram was doing. He's like saying, okay, God, I hear what you're saying. Yada, yada, good. Thank you. I'm with you. Tight. But I want a son. I hear what you're saying. Things are going to be good. Yes. But I want it my way. God is saying the same thing to you today. You are blessed and you are protected. It's his way that makes it happen. You know this. You know this. Now you need to hear this again on your own. Yesterday in the sermon prep that I sent out through Facebook, I talked about Fiona, the Queen of Katya. I mentioned Robert, her coach, in that prep. Robert, by the way, is like Fiona. He is not fictitious. He's a real deal. Now, Robert, who lives in or near Katwa, has a dream. He has a good dream. You might even call his dream a godly dream. He wants to be a civil engineer. He studied for it. He is good at it. And come on now, an engineer makes so much more money than a minister at some Christian outreach place. He's married and is the happy father of one very young, very beautiful daughter. He wants what most of us guys want, right, guys? He wants what's best for his family. And what is best, he feels, is having money. Daily, he sees how hard life can be. The kids he coaches are living in extreme poverty. This ministry gig, yeah, that's a good side job. That's just going to hold me till I get what I really want, which is that engineering job, which is going to give me money, which is going to give me control, which is going to give me the good life. So I'm just going to hold on a little while longer with this ministry gig and all these kids who are poor. I want to be a civil engineer, because when I'm a civil engineer, woo! I got it. Life is good. While coaching these kids, he applies for an engineering job. And oh, he's good in this interview. He's direct and he's persuasive. He says all of the right things. He looks the right way. He's poised. He's confident. And get this. He impresses the man on the other side of the desk who, after the interview, says, someday, when positions and things shift, someday you're going to get a job here. That someday actually happens. Robert gets the call after how many months of waiting? But Robert doesn't just wait. Robert doesn't just spend his days looking out onto some future horizon. He does what he does. coaches. He coaches this whole group of ragtag kids who are as devoted to him as they are. Wait, did I do that right? They're devoted to him as he is to them. He realizes that the door he wanted to open was the door that God didn't want him to have. He realizes that the blessings that he is supposed to have nothing to do with engineering and everything to do with being a minister to Christ. When we get off what we want in our blessings store, and some of us are still there saying, wait, there's still something in aisle 6 that I think I want. When we get out of that store that we create in our minds, this is what's going to make my life happy. I know, because it's my life. This is going to make me happy. That thing there. Civil engineer. I want my grandchildren to respect me. I want my relationship with my significant other, my husband, my wife, my partner, to be blessed, always. But you don't get to call your blessings. You know this. I mean, Hard Knocks have told you this. I'm speaking what you know. You don't get to call your blessings. And as soon as you give up saying, you know what, God, I'm done. I get it. I get it. God, I get it. I get it. Thank you. Thank you for being patient with me, God. How many times have I said I wanted and didn't get? And then I got mad at you, God. I didn't pay attention to you, God. I took matters into my own hands. I did something abusive to someone or something. How many times, God, have you thanked me? How many times, God, have you continued to be with me? How many times, God, have you helped me through that rough spot so that you find your blessings? It's a dangerous thing to engage the title of this sermon. It's a dangerous thing to engage the title of this sermon, opening the door to your future. But it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing because it enables you to be not where you are, but where you will be. And where you will be, folks, is where God wants you to be. And where God wants you to be is in a place far happier than where you are now. I gave this sermon a title and immediately thought of Marie Tiffany. Now, David Schulte shared with me last night that his visit with Marie Tiffany was far different than my visit with Marie Tiffany. When I saw Marie, she's 96, deaf and blind. And she's remarkable. I will always know Marie as remarkable. Remarkable. The last time I saw her, she was crying out, Mommy. That's painful. She would recognize me. She would hear me every other visit. This time, she didn't. So I'm thinking to myself, how? How do I have the guts? How do I have the backbone? How do I have the shoulders to say that your future, like her future, is going to be great? Because I know that God promises. His provisions are great. Her future, if you know Marie, her future is great. Here's our first sermon. Now we got to get to work. It's on your yellow sheet. Backing up just a bit, I'm talking again about Abram. Abram received God's direct promise, but doubted. Abram received God's direct promise, but doubted. And get this. This is the part that we can take home. This is the part we get to breathe through. We doubt, too. We question, too. Abram received God's direct promise, but doubted. We doubt, too. We do, folks. We get it. We get that he's good. We get that he's great. We get that our futures are awesome. But yet we still do what? Bring it back to ourselves. Some of you are like, yep, what you just said, Pastor, is true. I totally don't see God's work in my life. I don't hear him, or actually don't want to hear that God's mighty work is at work in my life. There may be some door somewhere to my future, but I don't know where it is, and I don't know how to find it. Others think, no, I don't question. I don't question. Yet you do question God indirectly when you look at the news and get completely discouraged. You do question God indirectly when you shake your head in dismay at one or both political candidates. You do question God when you wonder how this church can fund its active ministry programs, programs such as the Summer Lunchbox Program, Project Lucas, or the Women's Resource Center. When you think, oh, we can't do that, what you're truly doing is questioning God's ultimate power and authority, his provisions. Abram doubted. Again, God says, I will protect you and your reward will be great. Abraham's response is our response. But God, he says, what good are my blessings when I don't get what I want? God gets Abram. He says, your servant will not be your heir, for you will have a son. Count the stars in the sky, and you'll have more descendants than that. God is the potter. You are the clay. Trust God. Even when you can't see where God is leading you. Trust God even when, or especially when, you can't see all that he wants you to be. And folks, what he wants you to be is great. What he wants you to be is awesome. What he wants you to be is fulfilled. What he wants you to be is joyful. Get out of the way. Let God be God. Here's point 2. Abram, Sarai, and Hagar all acted on their own behalf. But God's plans incorporate people's mistakes. God's plans incorporate people's mistakes. Did you catch that one? No matter how many times you went off the path, no matter how many times you didn't follow the directions, no matter how many times you screwed up, boom. And if we could count the screw-ups collectively in this group, we'd have more than we fill the sanctuary, right? We're royal screw-ups. That's why we love each other. And we love each other fully when we recognize that not only are you the screw-up, but everybody around you is the screw-up. And God uses all of those wrong turns that you've made in your life. And gosh, thank gosh we don't have to count them, right? He uses those. He uses those. He uses those blatant mistakes, those words you should not have said to that person, that action you should not have done in that situation. He uses those, and he turns those, there, that potter's wheel. He turns those, and he keeps shaping you, and he keeps bringing you to a place of peace. You know his grace. You're here. Embrace his grace and live on. Here's the third note. To experience God's sufficiency, we must face our insufficiency. Now this is fast. I got to boil this down quickly. To experience God's sufficiency, we must face our insufficiency. Getting back to Abram, look at the time frame between 15 and 16. And thank you again, Kaylee, for reading. In 15, at the beginning of our reading today, who's got big shoulders? Who's got some know-it-all in his britches? Abram. In 16, where is he? He's been in a place where many of you are now. And where you are now is at a place where you can receive the fullness of God because you understand how empty you are without God. He's at a place where he can receive the fullness of God, like you are at a place where you can receive the fullness of God because you know on your own you're what? An empty, hot mess of nothing, right? It took him time to get to this place. It has taken you time to get to this place. Hear that again. It has taken you time to get to this place. It is his insufficiency that enables us to see God's sufficiency. We have got to be empty. We have got to be out of ourselves. We've got to be out of the options, folks. Because when we're not out of the options, what are we going to do? Play the last options we have, right? You got to be, no. You got to be empty. Your insufficiency. And you've been to that place. I can see it in your faces. You've been flat on the floor, either literally like I have been, literally on the kitchen floor, sobbing. 1998, that was the year. The kitchen floor was white. Sobbing. Done. Can't go on. Maybe you weren't literally on the kitchen floor. Maybe you didn't really sob. Maybe your kitchen floor wasn't white. Maybe you don't remember 1998. But there's been a place when you said, wait, whoa. I ain't got it. I don't have it. There's nothing I can do. I am nothing. I am that lump of clay. And I don't understand every hard thing that you've thrown at me. If you've even thrown it at me, I don't get it, God, but I know you're good. It is your sufficiency, God, that enables me to go on. Getting back to Marie. These notes in there, Ecclesiastes 7:8a and 7:10. Finishing is better than starting. Take that one home with you. I'm going to give you a little homework on the first of the 8 weeks of the sermon series. Here it is again. Finishing is better than starting. Don't wait. Don't look at the beginning as if it's yours, because it's not. It's God's. And don't long for the good old days. This is not wise. Don't look back through the rear view mirror, folks. That is done. What's in front of you is the windshield, and the windshield, the shield of your wind is God. He wants you to go forward. He wants to push you forward. He wants to encourage you to go forward. He wants you to look at your future, not your past, and understand completely how blessed you are, how protected you are, how good you are, how great this church is and will continue to be, because you are a player in this church, and you have a lot to add to this church, each and every one of you. Go forward. Knock on that door to the future. And do not be afraid. Gracious and holy God. You know the plans. You know the plans. And we, your people, submit to your authority. Ask for your blessings as we knock on the door to our future, where we will find you.